it is just a huge honor for me today to be podcast interviewing Bob Paton, who flew all the way in from Wichita Falls, Texas.
Great to meet you.
Wichita Falls, Texas. I grew up in Wichita, Kansas, and when that country western song came out about Wichita, for a brief second I thought, that's our town. Then I realized it was Wichita. Do you remember what song that was?
I'm not sure which one that was.
Wichita, something about a tower. But he is the president and CEO of Dental Planet, which is an internet-based supplier located in Wichita Falls, Texas. Dental Planet started as a dental equipment refurbishment company. Now it's focused on affordable quality for professionals, new and refurbished capital equipment, plus a full line of consumable supplies. Over 40,000 shoppers a month go to their site, dentalplanet.com. It's easy to navigate and find what you're looking for: supplies, dental imaging, chairs, operatories, small equipment. All listings are very plainly shown, whether new or refurbished. Bob has a love of learning, a desire to grow people, and a history of integrity in all his interactions. He's been afforded many opportunities in his personal and professional life. His experience in marketing has given him the ability to communicate effectively. He adamantly subscribes to the seek first to understand, then be understood concept espoused by Stephen Covey. This process has given Bob the ability to help groups break through stalemates and develop win-win strategies in his personal consulting business. A vast professional background includes leadership positions in communications, manufacturing, retail, healthcare, and transportation. He is a servant leader who came to lead Dental Planet through their next steps and growth in 2017. Personally, Bob is a Christian who attempts to live out his faith every day. He enjoys traveling and spending time with his family. His community service primarily centers around his work as a trustee on the Wichita Falls ISD school board, where he has served since 2004. He met his wife of more than 35 years while attending Eastern Illinois University in Charleston, Illinois. She is office manager for a busy medical practice. Their son is a 2019 graduate of Texas A&M, where he majored in computer engineering, computer science, and is now a software developer. So how did you end up in dentistry? How did you end up in Dental Planet?
I just keep moving around. I love opportunities to get in and help companies take those next steps, and that's where Dental Planet was. And I was contacted by them back in 2017 that they were looking for someone to take that kind of challenge. And so I talked with them for several months, and we ended up coming to an agreement, and I've enjoyed every minute of it.
Now, is that a typical deal we see more and more every day, where someone originally sells the company to private equity, and then the private equity has to try to do something with it so that they can, usually they like to hold about, what would you say, 5 years?
Well, they're in no hurry to move it. The folks who have it now are out of Midland, Texas, and they do have portfolio companies outside of their biggest interests are oil and gas, obviously, if they're in Midland, Texas. But they do have other portfolio companies that they've held on to for several years, and they're strong, ethical people. They want to see companies thrive, and so they're giving us the tools to do that and help us get there.
And they're usually bolder. I mean, like when I notice whenever you take the American Dental Association or any association, whether it be National Kidney Foundation or whatever, but associations, it seems like they think about things for years and years and years and years, whereas private equity or owner operators come in, and once they decide they want to make a decision, they just make a decision. Right. Let's go. Yeah. So now that you've been at the helm of Dental Planet for 2 years, what do you think of Dental Planet? What do you think of dentistry? Or how do you think you fit inside this market?
I love dentistry. I go to my dentist every 3 or 4 months and make sure to keep everything in check. And Dental Planet is a great operation that had its struggles. Back several years ago, the original owner and some of the practices that were going on, I know it was pretty well raked over the coals from the townies, and for good reason. Didn't stand behind the products, didn't deliver, sold things they didn't have. It was kind of a mess. the team that's there after the new owners took over got a lot of that turned around, and so I can't take credit for that. That was a good team that was there. I've just gone in and tried to build on that and enhance customer service even more so that we don't have those missteps. We're human. Every once in a while something will happen, but we stand behind. We make decisions for the right reasons, not some of the reasons that were done before. And it's a great opportunity because we pass along savings. We don't have salespeople spread out all over the country, and we've got the internet, and it is a great website that is easy to find the products, and so we pass those savings on to the customers.
So are you more focused on supplies, equipment?
It has been capital equipment. It started out as refurb of capital equipment, and we've morphed our business now is a very good mix of both new and refurbished. So we have several lines of new chairs, operatories, digital imaging, all those things, along with a very select line of refurbishing. If we've done one thing while we're there, we've focused in. I equate a lot of what we do to buying a car. And if someone sets out to buy a car, they probably want to buy a new car. But a lot of times, because the budget reigns supreme, you've got to make a decision to look in the used market. And we don't deal in anything used. We don't just bring it in and resell it. Everything goes through a very thorough refurbishment process. But still, there are savings there of 30 to 60% over new. And so we have focused down to those brands that people are really looking for. It's just like when you go look for a used car, you'll look for a classic Corvette or a classic Beamer. You won't go look for a used Kia necessarily. And so we don't bring just anything in and refurb it. We just bring select brands in, the ADEX, the Peltons and Cranes, some of those, and run them through a good refurbishment process. They're very well built pieces of equipment, and we run our thorough refurbishment process and get them back up to good standard and then turn around and resell them.
And the founders of ADEC passed away this year. And it was amazing because Ken Austin, when he wasn't making ADEC chairs, he was refurbishing classic cars.
Right.
And when I took my 4 boys up there on vacation one time, and he loved the fact that he found this car in a ditch and this one in a creek, and they look just brand new. So the tough thing about dentistry is that when someone else sets your price, when the insurance companies, right, Medicares, Medicaids, Delta Dentals, when they set your price, you have to work back from that for 90% of America. And then the business is capital intensive. And so as every time the earth goes around the sun again, the inflation, the staff all want to raise, everything gets more expensive. I mean, these dentists need to spend as much time saving costs as they do increasing sales.
We are all about helping dentists get a better return on investment. That ROI is king. You've got to be able to be profitable on the capital equipment purchase. And so if the patient wants to be comfortable but doesn't have to lie in the lap of luxury while they're there, they're more concerned with what you're doing in their mouth than how their bottom
and there's
feels.
not one patient who would, you can drive down the street and someone can say that's a Honda, that's a Ford, that's a Chrysler, but no one walks into a dental office and says that's an ADEC chair.
No, not at all. So we've got great brands, the ADEX, the Peltons and Cranes in refurbished mode, and they operate just like they did the first day out of the factory. We do a very good process on those. But we've got many others that are very, very good, and they're very affordable. Flight, Beaver State, TPC, some of those are very good brands that have a great 5-year warranty on them, and they are a fantastic unit, either a chair or full operatory. And then you've got the same thing on digital imaging. We do a lot, especially there's been a lot of dentists. You know how dental offices are a lot of times very, very small. The Awandi wall mount is this wonderful small footprint digital imaging machine, and
what's it called?
Awandi.
Awandi. That's a digital X-ray machine.
Yes.
Awandi digital X-ray.
Owandy. I believe they were
Owandy.
I believe they were just purchased by Acteon as we're recording this in October 2019. But they have an amazing machine that has a very, very small footprint. It's a wall mount. And so that's one of the the ray scan machines have just unbelievable picture image. And so those are a couple of the brands that we carry that are new, that are at great price points for digital imaging. But if you want to look at the refurbished, we've got a lot of different things there, from CareStream. We've got a Kodak 9000. We get a lot of those 3D cone beam and pano, less than $30,000 when you're talking about a refurbished machine. A Sordex Crane XD, Pansef refurb, about $26,000. So once again, you don't have to be out a ton of money to get into some of those. Get into the digital imaging and bring your practice up to date.
We filmed a couple of these shows live from France, where Awandi Radiology is from Paris, France.
Yes.
And there's a whole world out there of amazing dental companies outside of people's countries. And like Awandi, I wonder what % of Americans aren't even familiar with Awandi.
It's growing. Like I said, just bought by Acteon, which I think is more U.S. based. I believe. I'm not 100% sure.
So when did Acteon buy it?
Earlier this year.
Okay.
Not exactly sure when. But I believe the plan is for the Awandi brand to continue. And yes, it is very strong in Europe, and just being introduced here in the States. But we've sold many of those units, and everyone very, very pleased with the machine. So it's a great up and comer.
Nice. And who usually is your target market? I mean, we all know that when you buy a new car and you drive it off the lot, you're going to lose 10% of its value just taking it home. Who is your most likely customer these days?
Our most likely customer is a couple, one or two or three dentists together that are doing $1 million to $3 million in annual revenue, something like that. They're not just absolutely killing it, but they're doing okay, and they're finding needs to upgrade, or they're looking to expand and have a second or a third location because there's so much corporate dentistry moving into every market, obviously, that some of those local doctors want to try and retain that hold on it. And so they're finding ways to open additional offices, and that's where we come in. A lot of times we help with the entire office design and do everything for them, the whole office, or sometimes we're just a couple of pieces of it to help them save money. Interestingly enough, a lot of times our referrals come from bankers, the people who are having to put the loan package together, and the dentist talks about the remodel of the facility and everything they need, and all of a sudden they're so high up on their loan amount that the banker's going, okay, you haven't bought any equipment yet. We got to figure out a cheaper way to do this. And so we see savings of $50,000, $60,000, $70,000 on quotes for exactly the same type of equipment that other people are going in and trying to pitch to them, and they're going, yeah, okay, that makes a lot of sense.
To me, the most sense for a dentist is when you stand in there. Whenever I walk into a dental office, and I've walked into a gazillion of them in 32 years. Whenever you walk into a dental office, the dentist, more than half the time, is sitting in their private office. And when I go back there, I'm thinking to myself, okay, the average dental office has 65% overhead, and the dentist gets there 35. So 1/3 of my cost is sitting in that chair. And every time I walk in there, I say, why are you sitting in the chair? I mean, this is a dental office, and you're sitting in a chair. And it's always the same thing. Well, I'm waiting for Susie Q to dismiss that patient. Then she's got to clean up the room. Then she's got to set up the room. Then she's got to seat the next patient and all this stuff like that. And I'm like, why don't you have an extra room? I mean, when I look at the fact that, if the average overhead is 65%, the dentist costs 35, staff costs, 20 to 28 is the range. Lab bill 10, supplies 6, and everyone's waiting on a room. And then I go up front, they're calling the office, and they're going, yeah, I broke out my tooth. And they're like, oh, can you come in tomorrow at 10 or Thursday? It's like, why is the constraint an operatory? I mean, when you go to a restaurant, obviously, if I say, it's going to be an hour before we can seat you, obviously you leave.
Right.
Nobody just stands there and says, oh, well, I have nothing to do but stand here for an hour. And restaurants all know that. And I just cannot believe, I mean, you almost never, ever see a dental office that doesn't have enough operatories. So when the dentist gets paid 35%, the staff's 28%, lab 10, supply 6, why are these guys, why do they not have an extra operatory?
I don't know, but we do help fill in a lot of those. It's interesting. They will start and build out their practice and have a couple of unfurnished rooms and make sure they're going to get enough patients, or whatever. And so that empty room, that empty area, all of a sudden, okay, I'm ready. And so we'll go in and help build out 2 or 3 operatories for them. Because they're realizing the exact same thing that you're talking about, removing the constraint. Have you ever read The Goal?
Yes.
It's all
what is his name? Is from the Israel guy, right?
Yes, yeah, exactly.
And that's Goldrat.
Yes, that's it.
God, I'm so proud of myself. I got that goal.
Well, I'm glad you came up with it. I couldn't have. But
Goldrat.
We went through a whole study on that with our staff not long after I got there. What are our constraints? How do we remove them? And what do we do? And you're exactly right. If you don't have the room, what's another? If you're looking at ours, what's another less than $10,000? You can make that up no time by putting a full operatory in there. And so instead of pushing people to next week,
the only 2 people that get it. And by the way, what I love the most about the book, The Goal, by Goldrat, is that his name? Let me.
It's something.
Elijah M. Goldrat.
Yes.
That's probably how I remember it. Goal and Goldrat. But what I loved about it is, when you really know your subject, you can explain it to anyone. And the problem with operation logistics is every instructor thinks that's the best time to show off that they know calculus and derivatives and love Sir Isaac Newton. And they lose it. And so he took one of the hardest subjects to ever teach and wrote a book. It was a love story. And he said, I'm gonna try to explain this to you with no math in a love story. And he did it. And he sold 10 million copies. And I wish every instructor would see, especially with math. I mean, you go in there in middle school and these kids in high school, and they already decided they hate math. And then they start telling you they're not good at it when everybody has the same brain. And then when you ask about the problem, you realize that they're trying to solve this problem, but they don't even know what they're trying to do. They don't know what it is,
right?
So it's like they're so busy teaching you numbers and formulas and all this stuff that this kid thinks he's no good and he doesn't know what he's doing. And I thought Goldrat was the genius of saying, put away your silly math equations, and first let's just try to get this person to understand what a constraint is.
Exactly.
And in a dental office, it's a chair and it's a schedule. Like, if you did some rules, like when you said, well, when would you like to come in? One easy way to just solve all your constraints is just put away the schedule book and just say, well, hey, Bob, when would you like to come in? Well, I'd like to come down right now. Well, then come down right now.
Come on in.
And you're not looking at your schedule. And then you start thinking, oh my God, I'm already busy. I'm already busy. You're going to have cancellations. You're going to have no-shows. You're going to have people that won't get numb. And when you have extra chairs, when I say come down now, you can sit there and say, well, we're busy and you didn't have an appointment, but come down right now and we'll try to work you in. But I look at your office and you say, well, you can't come right now because I don't have an opening. So let's come tomorrow. So the minute you hang up the phone, They just call the next dental office.
Unfortunately.
And then tomorrow you have a cancellation or no-show, and you're like, well, why did they not show up? They just made the appointment yesterday. Yeah, but you made the appointment to come in Monday. You never asked them, when would you like to come down?
That's a great point.
You just said, you want to come tomorrow at 10 or Thursday at 2. So they thought, worst case scenario, let me lock up this tomorrow appointment. And then I'm going to hang up the phone and start calling other people. And sometimes, when you get done with the patient, that's not the best time to clean up the room and sterilize everything. Sometimes you just need to go to the next room. But I love going from room to room to room. And the only two people that get it are endodontists and oral surgeons, because an endodontist, most of these specialists, they might have 20 general dentists refer to them as specialists, but 5 of them refer 80% of all their work. And then maybe, another 20, so if you're paying my bills, there's 5 of you guys and you're sending me a molar endo every day and all that stuff like that. I can't ever tell you, no, I can't see your patient, because I'm afraid you're going to start working with my competitor and then he'll see. So endodontists and oral surgeons are so paranoid of losing their massive referral base that they actually figured out the deal, and they will keep adding emergency rooms until every other day a room was not used. And my gosh, I have 8 rooms when I'm working there by myself. Now I don't use all 8 rooms, because if I did use all 8 rooms, I'd have 10.
Exactly.
I would never, after you pay yourself, your labor, your lab, your supplies. I don't understand a dental office who has a lockbox over the thermostat. I mean, if you even care what your electric bill is, you don't even understand your cost.
You're going along the same principle of going to a meeting or an event in a room. Everybody likes a full room. But if you're going somewhere, and let's say church, if you're going to church and it's always over 80% full, you're going to feel like it's too crowded in here. And that's the time you've got to look at building a new sanctuary. A dentist, that's the time. If you're 80% using those chairs and you don't have the time to slip somebody in, now's the time to add that. But you can relate it to a number of things in life. Once you get over that 80%, you feel like you're scrunched in somewhere, and you've got the same thing with those operatories.
Yeah, and a lot of weird behaviors at dentists too. Like someone will come in and all they'll need is a cleaning, and they schedule an hour in this room, FMX exam, probing, everything. All you need is a cleaning, and then the first thought everyone has is, well, let's go up and try to find a time when the hygienist clean the teeth. And it's like, dude, there's still 20 minutes on the clock. You could do the cleaning right now. I mean, you've done everything. They're in the chair. It just never dawns on them. Same thing with same-day treatment. They're like, well, okay, so you just have one filling. And they're like, well, we can't do it now. I mean, we have our next patient at 20 minutes. Well, it all comes back to your chair. I mean, same-day treatment. New patient exam doesn't have any cavities. They're all good to go. All they need is the cleaning. I mean, all the dentist has to do is the scaling. You've already, the assistant's already done the x-rays. You've done the exam. You just got to do the scaling. Most states, the dental assistant can do the polishing, the fluoride treatment, dismiss the patient. But you look at the what's going on. It's a psychological process that nobody in the office just wants to score a touchdown right now. Same day, your hygiene. You have a cavity. Do you want to do it now? And even the hygiene room is I think the hygiene room is actually the most bizarre, because you go into the hygiene room and they have one cavity. And Bob, you're a busy guy. You're a CEO of a company. Would you rather do that filling now? And then the hygienist will look at you and say, no, I can't. I got another patient here in 10 minutes. Like, Bob's busy. Why don't you go to the other room?
Sure.
I mean, we got extra rooms. Why don't you do your next patient in room 8? And they're humans, and they're like, well, this is my room. You're like, what the hell do you mean it's your room? I mean, could you imagine if Southwest Airlines was owned by a hygienist, and every hygienist pilot had their own plane, and you got on the plane to go to San Antonio, and then the pilot gets on and says, I'm sorry, this is not my plane. My plane is the exact same 737 Boeing right next to the next gate. So once you start getting customer-centric, I can prove to you that you don't have enough rooms. Get rid of your schedule and just start asking people, when do they want to come down? And whatever they say, let them come down. And then work back from that. And then when you do a hygiene exam and they have a cavity, say, when would you like to have it done? And they tell you, well, at least half the time they're going to say, well, can you do it now? And then you got to work back from that. And once you start working back from what the customer wanted, next thing you do is you have $1 million practice. But the reason you don't have $1 million practice, but there is $1 million practice across the street in the same town, the same bat station, the same bat channel, is because you have all these bizarre constraints that none of them are necessary. But I love what you're doing. You're doing used. What else? What else has got you excited?
Well, the digital imaging is just really taken off like crazy. Both the new and the refurbished. The people that are stepping up and buying new, if they've already been in digital, they've got something that they want to trade in. We bring it in. We do a factory certified check on it. And make sure that everything is working, get it up to snuff, and then take it back out. We do the install, we do the training, all of that. We've got a big multi-location practice in a major city right now that they had one digital imaging machine. They wanted to be able to have all of their people be able to move from one office to another. So we found 3 others. They have 4 offices that their equipment, and we found 3 other machines of that same era, of that exact same model, so that they could have the exact same feel whatever office they go into. And those are the kind of things we love to do, is give us a challenge like that. Let us go find that equipment.
So I noticed you also have lasers. Are those mostly used lasers?
We are just starting with lasers, yes. The lasers typically are demos that they have been used very lightly by a doctor, just trying them out, seeing if they're right for them, and then we're turning around and being able to sell those, because obviously it's like that car got driven off the lot, and so it can't be sold new. So we're doing some things with lightly used, and then they bring them back in and make sure they are all factory certified. They still keep the factory warranty going on it, those kind of things.
I was surprised that practice management software was on the list. That one surprised me. So
no, we do that, and that is strong. Doctors that don't have something to make sure that they can incorporate the images and the records and everything else, we've got that answer for them as well. Like I said, we'll do the entire office from the design. We've got a guy that's been doing dental office design for 25 plus years, and he does an awesome job making sure that we get everything that they need. We've got all of the back office equipment. Back office equipment is one of those things that we don't trust refurb. That is something, if it goes down, your whole office goes down. It's not just one chair going down. It's going to take the whole office down. So we only do new on the back office equipment, the compressor and those kind of things. Let's make sure that you.
So compressor. Anything else on that list?
Anything that is obviously anything that the customer wants. Sometimes our operatories are hybrids, so it's a great refurb chair, but the delivery unit was not that great. We've got a brand new delivery unit on there, and so we will put that on there. So it all depends on what the customer wants. We'll do any piece of it all new, just a portion new refurb, but the compressor, those kind of things, we make sure that's always new. We don't sell anything in refurb there.
And is this your Wichita Falls? That's near Dallas, or
yes.
How far away?
It's a couple hours away from Dallas. It's up near the Oklahoma border.
Yeah. So is this a coast to coast play?
Definitely, yes. We're all over the place. We've got our own drivers and vehicles that are out, and then we've got an incredible digital install guy that just flies all over the country, following the truck and doing the digital install or doing the whole office install. We do the cabinets. We've got 2 different makers of cabinets, which gives us 3 lines. We've got some great cabinets. Think IKEA for dental. So if the doctor is somewhat of a handy person, they could do it themselves. But obviously, we can come in and do the install. But you can get an upper and lower for any room for less than $1,500, and so you can do an entire dental suite for like $5,000 with our essential line of cabinets. It's a great line, and it is all done for dental specs. We've got 2 other lines. One is more if you need a custom fit, then we can change the sizes on them and all. And the other is more standard widths. We can adjust the length if we need to, because it's kind of a modular. But we'll come in, do all that install. We're talking solid state kick plates. We're talking nice choices of laminates of the colors and the countertops, and these are very, very nice.
So you never heard of that song "Wichita Lineman" by?
The Wichita Lineman, yes. Okay,
by Glenn Campbell.
Yes,
Yeah.
you betcha.
And
my past was in radio, so I've played that more than once.
I remember being sad when I was a little boy, thinking that, oh, we're in the song. And then I found out about this horrible city named Wichita Falls, Texas, and it indeed was not my town of Wichita, Kansas. I was heartbroken.
Yes.
It's going back to your site here. Dental cabinets. Sometimes, people on Dental Time are talking about, they go look at these dental cabinets for the money they want, but some dentists are lucky where maybe their brother or their uncle makes cabinets, and they're like, dude, you could make these cabinets cheaper than the prefab. I mean, shouldn't the prefab cabinets be a lot cheaper than a custom cabinet? Or, I mean, how...
yes, and that's exactly what we've got with that essential line. If that's what you've got pulled up there, it's an amazing line. It's already fitted out for the glove box, all those kind of things that you expect in a dental office. It is made for. But yeah, you can, like I said, you can do an upper and lower with a sink in at $1,500, and boom, it's delivered there to your front door. Like I said, if we need to come do the install, we will, but it's very affordable.
So you have teams out of Wichita Falls that travel the whole U.S., or
Yes.
do you have maintenance people?
We have a national service provider network of about 200 independent service providers that we do, kind of like Amazon does the 5-star rating. We do our own internal 5-star rating on all of these techs when they go out and do something for us, and we make sure the customer's happy and all that. And so, if we're going to use them again, we make sure that they've got a good rating. They're in our internal system. But we know if they can do digital or if they can just do operatories, what their experience is. And so we're always managing that network, but that is about 200 strong around the nation. And some of those guys travel for us. Some of them just work in the region.
They all people that used to work for Shine, Patterson, Benco.
Most likely they have, yes. But they wanted to go out on their own. And then we've got about 6 on our team that are gone all the time, that are in all different parts of the country.
I bet their wives are so happy. Like, I got a sweet deal.
Yeah, get out of here. Go on. I've had enough quality time this week. Thank you. Yes.
Handpieces, I always try to look for, as a media company, I've had a media company, I've had a magazine since 1994, is where does something not add up? And when it comes to handpieces, to me, it's very bizarre that Europe went with the electric handpiece,
right,
and America went with the air turbine, and so just that fact alone means something's wrong. Where do you see electric versus air driven as far as maintenance, longevity, price? Why?
We see.
I mean, they can't both be right. Somebody's got to be more right than the other.
And I can't give you a good answer on that, because we sell everything. We've got customers coming to us for you name it. in different parts of the country is just like whether they want a 12 o'clock delivery or if they want over-the-patient delivery units. Different parts of the country, I think it's what schools they come out of, so what they're used to working with in the school is what you'll see that they want. And so the demand is there for a little bit of everything, and we try and carry everything and get our customers taken care of with what they want.
I'm going to tell you the worst joke in the world that's completely inappropriate, but I think it's funny. Do you know why there are left-handed dentists?
No.
Because it's illegal to kill them. There's nothing more stressful in an office when one dentist is right-handed, one's left-handed. The assistant, I mean, it is really, and they've tried so many ways. Is that a problem that you see currently?
We see more of the operatories that deliver on both sides. They move around underneath the patient chair. Everybody's got different names for them depending on the brand, but we see more of those because of exactly what you're saying. They're going to go into an office and they don't know what their new associate's going to be, or maybe they're going into a corporate office that has a different dentist in there every day, and so they want to be as flexible as they can. I think it's a great move that the chair companies have come up with and built that, because we've got a lot of great refurb operatories that deliver on both sides and are completely flexible, have the assistant package with it, and that can move around on either side. So that is definitely what we're seeing more of now that that's out there and much stronger.
Yeah, it's tough because, a dentist is rare, and what is it, 11% of humans are left-handed? And
I'm one of them.
Oh, are you left-handed?
I'm a lefty. Only ones in our right mind.
Only what?
Only ones in our right mind.
Yeah, so it's a you don't want to lose a hygienist or a dentist or an associate because they're left-handed, but it really is a operational logistics. That back to the high speed though, the handpiece.
Yes,
it's kind of bizarre because a lot of dentists say, "Oh, I only use air driven," and you say, "Really, during endo?" And they're like, "No, you're right. In endo, I use electric." So it's kind of like they'll use air driven on their high speed, but they're using electric on their
slow speed,
on their slow speed or their endo. It's really confusing. There's no rhyme or reason.
I was just helping get some slow speed for some folks this morning before I left the office and got on the plane to come out here. So we do a lot of both. And we've got a lot of the parts to help keep them working as well, because a lot of people just don't want to give up what they've had and what they're comfortable with. And even though it's time to trade that in, probably, they want to keep it working. So it's interesting, the parts. We've got a great parts guy that knows every part of everything. I'll never have as much knowledge as he does if I'm there 20 years. And he helps people. If we get a difficult situation on the phone, he gets on with them and walks it through, and he can usually figure out exactly what part it is they need. It's funny what some people want to hold on to.
So you have lab equipment. Is mostly that dentists buying lab equipment for their office, or is that usually Crown and Bridge Laboratories buying stuff for their?
A lot of times that is bigger offices wanting to have their own lab equipment. We do have some lab customers, but typically we're filling in with a few pieces. So it's an office that is wanting to have some lab equipment there.
And the nitrous oxide, I'm always surprised by people I meet that are so intelligent, so smart, like an amazing endodontist. Yet they don't have nitrous oxide, and I'm just thinking, man, you do root canals for a living, and you is nitrous oxide? Do you see it stable? Is it decreasing popularity? Is it increasing popularity?
With all of the new office designs, it's still being requested to be included in the design. So I would say steady. Are
they designing it where it's plumbed in or more portable?
Typically, we're designing it plumbed in. We do sell a lot of portable units, so that could be. And I would use the handheld X-ray as an analogy of that too. We're seeing more and more doctors going to the handheld X-ray, and having that one gun, if you will, take care of 4 or 5 operatories instead of worrying about a periapical that can serve just 2 or something like that. So the same thing with the nitrous oxide. We do sell a lot of the little portable units, and so they can just wheel that right into any operatory. Don't have to replumb the office and take care of the customer that way.
And I'm completely blown away that they don't have nitrous at every emergency room. I had 4 boys, so I've been to many emergency rooms, many times for the craziest stuff from A to Z. And I'll never forget there was some kid in the next bed over, and he'd ran into a cactus. Ooh. And so they're sitting there pulling these, things out of this poor little kid, and he's basically just having the worst time in the world. And I said to them, don't you have nitrous? And it's like, come on, you guys can amputate feet, do heart surgeries, remove brain tumors. And the only thing they could do to this kid is either put him to sleep or suck it up, buttercup, and just make him cry all night. But I'm always surprised at X-rays. Are you refurbishing CBCTs?
Yes. Yes, we've got a team there that brings them in, stands it up, and goes through it meticulously. They've had factory training for a lot of the brands that we get in. Once again, we're looking for very select machines, and so they go through it, and we upgrade the software, whatever it is that needs to be done, and so we let the customer know this is exactly what it is on this machine, and the refurb on those is through the roof. It's amazing how many of those are available and our people are seeking.
So what does someone usually save on a refurbished CBCT over buying a brand new one?
Let's see. Here's one I threw out there earlier, and now these prices. Okay, like I said, we're recording this in October 2019. Okay, so I know a podcast can have a long shelf life, so I don't want somebody calling us 3 years from now asking for this price. But a Kodak 9000 3D cone beam and pan, $27,898.
And what would that be brand new?
I hesitate to guess, but I'm guessing that you can save at least $20,000.
Yeah, or more.
Yes,
or more. That is amazing, and that is so amazing. A lot of times you're really deciding on whether or not you should buy a CBC, and the dentists they're always looking at the payment. They're always saying, well, that lease payment is $1,500 a month, and well, I do this many X-rays. Well, first of all, why don't you challenge that lease payment? $1,500 a month. And you're saying, well, you don't have 20,000 cash. Well, talk to your banker. Do you finance?
We do finance. We've got some great partners that we've got the application right there online, and these guys work with us every single day. We're on the horn with them, working multiple deals.
Is it mostly one company?
Mostly one company. We've got three or four different reasons. No, it's a capital company out of New York. And they fund with different. They're probably a broker, but they can get it placed with different folks. But they are awesome. They get folks. Some folks have some challenged credit that we've got to work through, but they're very, very good at doing that. Some people need deferred payments for a couple of months until they can get it going. Whatever the unique circumstance is, we deal directly with these guys, and so once that app is filled out, we're on the horn with them saying, look, here's the deal with this guy. He's just stepping away from a corporate practice and going on his own. So no, he doesn't have the history, but or whatever it is. Let's get this gentleman or this lady taken care of, and they do it. They come through, and the funding is just that quick. So
and what percent of your business is dental?
Dental is 95% of our business.
And what percent do the dentists pay cash versus finance?
Finance, we probably work finance on, I would say, any given month, 30% of the deals.
One third?
Yes.
And what does the dollar amount have to get up to before a third of the dentists want to finance instead of pay cash?
It depends. like I said, if you got some folks that are struggling and just trying to build, it could be once you're up over $10,000-$15,000. For the most part, it's once they're up over about $40,000 or $50,000 that they're looking at that. But if it's too much to put on the credit card, that's when they start looking for some finance options.
And are you what percent of your business is refurbished equipment versus dental supplies?
The supplies just came online in 2019. We did the development of it in 2018, brought it online in 2019, and it has blown us away. It is on track to be about about 1/7 of our business, and we'd love to grow it even more. It is just phenomenal. The supplies, the network that we're building there with the buyers that we have, and getting that stuff into us, and then getting it out to the dentist across the nation. And they just love the pricing. You don't have to join some group. You don't have the hidden prices. Everything is right there on our website. You can see exactly what that price is.
Yeah, transparency in pricing is something that healthcare doesn't even know about. I mean,
No.
I think it's bizarre that you can go into a very small town in Kansas, and we both get a knee replacement, and I pay $67,000 and you pay $17,000, and we're it's
crazy.
Yeah, and when you hear these people bragging that they live in a socialized country with no copay, I mean, it's like, well, you're bragging about something you don't even understand.
Exactly.
The reason so many people love socialized medicine for healthcare is because only 1%, one of 100 people, spend the night in a hotel. Did you spend a night in a hotel this year?
Oh, plenty.
I mean, a night in a hospital this year?
No.
Did you, Kyle? No. I mean, so nobody spends the night in a hospital. So, of course, 99% of the people are going to think it's great because they didn't stay in a hospital that night.
Exactly.
But it's just standard economics to look at price, and pricing is always a game. Like it blows people's mind on Dentaltown. They've been buying supplies for Shine for a decade, and now they find out that if you join this plan with Shine, you'll get a savings. You're like, so being your customer 10 years, that's now I got to join some. And if you shop, if you just search on Dentaltown, dental supplies, I mean, there's all kinds of
there's a ton of them out there.
Yeah. So what is the difference between your dental supplies and all these clubs?
Don't know what all the clubs entail, what benefits that you get, but once again, you don't have to join a club to get our everyday low pricing. It is out there on our website. You're going to see exactly what you can get, what quantities. Obviously, we're just like anybody else. You buy in bigger quantities, you're going to save even more. But we are not the big guys. We don't need the margins to pay for the CEO's beach house
or the reps
or the reps. Exactly.
So these reps are and again, I don't think there's I don't believe there's one market for anything. I mean, you look at cars, there's going to be used cars, there's going to be Chevys, Chryslers, Olds, Cadillacs, there's going to be all the way to Rolls Royce or own a Learjet. I mean, there's just market segments. I think dental, I think a company like Patterson and Benco, there's always going to be a market segment for a great relationship of somebody comes by their office and does all that stuff for them. But as Amazon has been at the Greater New York meeting 3 years in a row, I mean, they're there. There is going to be a segment who wants to buy them online that's not having a rep come by the office. And I also think it's very interesting for millennials. Millennials, they would prefer an ATM machine than talking to a banker.
Right.
We saw that when we put our scheduling online, where we switched to Open Dental, and now patients are scheduling appointments at 10:30 at night by themselves, not talking to anybody. And so a lot of people don't need or even want or find dealing with other humans annoying. But does your model, it's 1/6 of your business. Does the fact that Amazon's could be coming into this market, does that bother you, scare you?
No, we have been a partner with Amazon for a number of years, and we have a lot of product on Amazon. We get a lot of sales off of Amazon. We are an online marketer. We understand online, and so Amazon does not scare us. We embrace that and have a lot of products available on Amazon as well.
So talk about that. So what does it mean you're an Amazon retailer?
That means that we work with them and have our products on Amazon, and they sell and we fulfill. Or
okay. So you're fulfilling some product shopping from Amazon. So I could go on Amazon, buy a product, but Amazon would electronically send the order to you and you fulfill it?
Yes.
And why would Amazon not be fulfilling that in their own fulfillment center?
Well, we do that as well with some of our higher volume material. It still is sold by us. I believe you will see that it is sold by Dental Planet. With everything I've always bought on Amazon, I see who the actual company is I'm buying from. And so it's the same with the dental products. I believe you'll see that it's sold by Dental Planet, but there are products that are our products are sitting in their warehouse, and so it does get out a whole lot quicker. And so they get an order for it. They drop it down into their warehouse, whichever one is closest to that customer, and they fulfill it right there. And they just send us a ping once it needs restocking. Hey, you're keeping 500 of these in stock, and we're down to 100. We need another 400 shipped in here.
So how has your experience been with Amazon?
We enjoy the relationship we have with Amazon. We've been working with them for, like I said, a number of years for parts and small equipment, and they're the 900-pound gorilla. You got to do it their way. It'd be very easy to get tangled up with Amazon and not be profitable if you're not watching what you're doing, because Amazon is out to find the lowest price. And so they're going to continue to ping all the suppliers of whatever product A is to say, okay, you're not the lowest price anymore. Are you sure you don't want to be? And we've just got to look at that and say, sometimes we want to be the low price, sometimes we don't want to be the low price.
And, I love Jeff. I mean, he takes big, bold moves, and sometimes he's wrong. I don't think his Alexa turned out like he wanted to. I think he thought you'd be making spaghetti, and when you use the last jar of ragu, you'd refill the replacement. But it turns out that's not really happening.
That hasn't happened, no.
And I never got it, just because I just think it's creepy to have a microphone in your kitchen on it all. And even though they're probably turning on the cell phone, I still, I don't know, I'm creeped out enough. I'll after work sometimes I'll go to my boy's house and we'll watch. Maybe while I'm in there visiting him, we'll hear some movie for 10 minutes. And then when you get home, you pull out your iPhone and you open up YouTube, and what's the first?
There's that movie.
There's that movie.
Something's listening to you all the time.
Something creepy is going on.
Yes.
Upholstery kit. That to me, so many dentists say, well, these chairs are old. And it's like, gosh, man, just get them reupholstered. Why would you get a new chair?
That's all you got to do. We have some fantastic ladies in our upholstery department that just do a quality job. We'll do a standard or an upline, a very nice ultra leather either one, big choice of colors. And for the most popular models, we have the core sets there already, so we can go ahead and if you've got that ADEC 511, we can go ahead and cover a new core set in the color you want, send it out to you. You just pop the old set off and send it back to us, and so you're never down.
Wow. Ken Austin, his engineering idol was Henry Ford. Mm-hmm. And what he loved the most about what Ford did is you could find any Ford car, and that same part would fit in all the parts. And Ken really wanted that. That's why people love Fords. That's why everybody could work on them. And he only had to change the fundamental design of his ADEC chair one time. And you know what the design change was?
Because
because as Americans got bigger and heavier and heavier and heavier and heavier, you'd lean them back and they would fall back.
Not good, yes.
So he had to change out the base. And I remember him telling my boys that he was so proud that that some young dentist would buy a practice and his something broke on his ADEC chair, and he could go to his grandfather, who was a dentist, who had an old chair that's no longer used, and take out that part and the part. So he really loved that interchangeability, all that. But again, I even did that with my Lexus. You know, when I had when it hit, I think 150,000 miles, a couple kids would say, "Well, Dad, you need to get a new car just because." I mean, that tear in that seat is crazy. And after about the third time someone said that to me, I just went and got the whole seats reupholstered.
There you go.
And then people were getting in, and you could tell because it looked like it was a new car. but I'm so proud of the fact that I bought my car at 2004, and it's coming up on 200,000 miles. And
that's great.
And the only people that buy that would get a new car, they don't have $100,000 for a Lexus, so it's really easy to lease. So when you have no money, it's so easy to buy an office on 20-year payments and student loan payments. And all they're doing is they just got to say, hey, do you want another payment? Once you sit there and pay all that stuff off, and now when you go into Lexus and they say, you know, for an oil change, you say, well, if you gave us your car and $100,000 cash, well, once you have $100,000 cash, you're not going to give it to somebody for a slightly newer Lexus.
No.
The only people that do that don't have any money. I've always wanted to see what is the percentage of people that buy their Mercedes and BMWs in cash versus lease it or all that. And my friends that work in those dealerships say that less than 10% buy those cars in cash.
Oh, right. Mm-hmm.
So that shows you that 90% are faking it till they making it. And you don't need it for your own ego. My God, you're a doctor. You don't need a Lexus to justify your all that in a bag of chips. And for dental chairs, it's absurd because obviously the highest quality, made in America, unbelievable chair is ADEC, but nobody's ever going to walk off the street and say, "Oh, Doc, you got ADEC."
Exactly.
You're high quality. You're my last dentist. I mean, they just don't know the brand.
Well, and you spoke earlier of millennials and the younger generation of doctors that are coming into the field now, like recycling. And we agree wholeheartedly. That's what refurbishment is, as you mentioned. And ADEC is a strong brand. They are well built. It needs some updating. It needs a little tweaking. It needs a little tender loving care. That's what we do with those used that they might come out of a dental school that is doing a wholesale change, because man, you get all those students going through there every year, and they're kind of hard on it. No telling where that we get more in on group deals than we do individuals. And every once in a while, unfortunately, a doctor retiring or has to leave the business or whatever, so we'll get those. But usually the bigger groups of chairs come in, and that's a lot of our supply. And so we rebuild them, replace all the biologicals, and then redo any of the electrical and any other system that needs redoing, and make it good as new again. And it does. It's got 10, 15 years left in it. There is absolutely no reason to go buy that new one. I think it's going to last every bit as long.
Yeah, so if you even think you need an extra operatory, by the way, a lot of dentists say, man, if I had room, I would add another operatory, and I've always can find another operatory. And the first thing to go is their private office. And I remind them that even Superman worked out of a phone booth. You don't need some place to go in there and sit down. Your patient called you up. They were eating breakfast. They broke off their tooth, and they can't come see you because you don't have a chair, but you have a private office, a break room, so many things. But just work back from your constraints. Start asking the patients, when do you want to come down? Just make a rule. If they said, well, I want to come down right now, you have to say yes. Work back from that. 5 minutes later, that patient's going to show up. The one scheduled isn't going to show up. And you always ask me, well, what do you do about cancellations and no-shows? Well, it's okay to double book. And then when you talk about double book, you always talk about, you always think about everything go wrong. You say, well, what if they both show up? Well, what if you start to work on someone and they're not numb and you got to give them a booster? I mean, what is the it's kind of like the whole, when you go into these offices that never get over the 650 to 700, it's every employee in there has the same bizarre mindset where everybody can find a reason why we can't do it today. Well, their blood pressure was 110/98. Maybe we should reschedule and try it again tomorrow. Maybe you should just do it. Go ahead and do it. The
blood pressure's up because they're scared to death to be there.
Yeah, I mean, some offices, I mean, it's like everybody gets paid to come up with the best excuse of why we just can't do it right now. You got to come back for the cleaning. Oh my God, they were in there for an hour. They just got an FMX exam, hygiene, everything was done. But they just didn't want to do the cleaning the last 20 minutes. They just, so certain things. So be customer centric. The patient doesn't want to come back. The patient doesn't want to leave work, pick up a kid from school. I mean, my God, if you had to go to the doctor, how many times would you want to go to that doctor for that procedure? You just want to go in there, whatever you got to do, just get it done. And the offices that do that, I think they have much happier customers. They have a much higher treatment plan acceptance rate, because if I diagnose a cavity on you right now and my deal is, when do you want to do it? And you say today. Well, obviously that's a much higher percentage than my faith in you to go up front and remember to schedule an appointment and come back 2 weeks later. Exactly. I mean, same day treatment is the highest way to get your treatment plan acceptance rate up high. And I think a fireman should want to put out all the fires. A policeman should want to catch all the bad guys, and a dentist should want to fix all the cavities before they turn into root canals and what have you.
Exactly. We can outfit that extra room that you've got, full operatory, new. So let's see. We talked about the refurb, a full operatory for $7,500. New. We've got some that are $6,400. Once again, these are 2019 prices, $9,000 for brand new operatories, and so you don't have to spend a whole lot of money to outfit that room. Like we said, we've got the cabinets that you can go in there and do for $1,500. That gets you your upper and your lower. You're set.
And by the way, I want to give you another big trick. Sometimes people say to me, when I meet you out there lecturing, and say, well, I didn't know if I want to do business with that deal. I didn't know if they were big or small or, blah, 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 blah. A great way to find out the size of a company, you just go to LinkedIn. Like when you go to LinkedIn, Dental Planet has 38 employees. That is not, there's 38 employees on LinkedIn. Probably a lot of their employees don't even have a profile on LinkedIn, but the point I'm trying to make is that is not a small operation by any means.
No, it's a sizable operation. We've got a very big campus. We're in an old Wichita Falls. There's a lot of oil around there, and it was an old oil field manufacturing place that has got a lot of history on it, back to the 20s and 30s. But that's where we are. And then we have a showroom at Dental Studies Institute up in Fairfield, New Jersey. We went in and redid their dental suite and also their exam rooms and put in some new and some refurbished chairs and operatories in there so that people from that part of the country, we've always had a fly-in program. If you want to come in and see our process, see, feel, touch what our refurbs look like, you can fly in and come see us. And if you're, depending on the size of the deal, we'll build that into it. We realize Wichita Falls is not the easiest place in the world to get to, so we've got a showroom up there at Dental Studies Institute where you can come in and see our stuff.
In New Jersey?
In New Jersey. It's straight across from Midtown Manhattan. It is.
And where's it at?
Fairfield, New Jersey. It's at Dental Studies Institute. It's a continuing education business up there. Doctors, hygienists, assistants.
Dental Studies Institute. Was that Is that by the a dental implant company?
No,
Dental
no,
Studies
it's a
Institute.
family-owned business. They've been there, gosh, I think about 30 years.
What's the website?
I think it's DSI-NJ, I believe.
Dental Studies Institute in New Jersey.
Yes.
Huh. Let's see what that is. So how long you've had a showroom?
So
out
we've
there?
had that now about a year and a half, probably something like that. In 2019, we put it in probably the first of 2018, and we've got a dental suite in there that's fully operational. They do hands-on learning in there. They've got 6 or 7 large classrooms. They'll have 100 docs in there learning on something. They're doing a lot of CE catch-up right now because in New Jersey this is the year to get recertified, get your license renewed. So a lot of them that have fallen behind on their CEs, they're in there a lot. I'll be there this weekend, as a matter of fact.
Is that right?
Yes, they've got a Sunday seminar on cancer, and so we're going to be there because they're going to have about 80 dentists there in the building. But they have a lot of other programs that they do, but they've got 3 exam rooms where we have refurbished chairs, and then there is a fully operational dental suite. Like I said, they do hands-on training in there, and that has 2 brand new operatories and in the room there, and then 1 refurbished. And it's funny, we bring people in and say, okay, tell us which one's new and which one's refurbished, and they can't tell.
And that's in Fairfield, New Jersey.
Fairfield, New Jersey, yes. About 30, 40 minutes north of the Newark Airport.
Right.
And then, like I said, it is due west. If you're going to the Greater New York Show, at the what is the name of the convention center there where the New York Show is, the Jacob Javits Center. I mean, it's about a 40-minute Uber ride over from there.
Well, I think the United States is adorable if you think of it as a piece of cheese with mold on it. I mean, because where the Europeans landed on Plymouth Rock, 2 out of 3 Americans live within 500 miles of that dot. 3 out of 4 Americans live east of the Mississippi River. And when you leave Manhattan and you fly home to Phoenix, where I live, the first hour, you still see lights out the window. I mean, it's all just metro for an hour. But then when you start to cross that Mississippi, I mean, you cross St. Louis, it's an hour of nothing.
Nothing, exactly.
Until you hit like Dallas, and then another hour of nothing, and you hit Albuquerque, and then your last hour of nothing, and you come into Phoenix, and there's really just no people.
There's so much open space.
Oh, yeah.
It's just absolutely amazing. We're on the cusp of West Texas, and that's really where it starts, where there's just absolutely, like you say, outside of Phoenix, there's just absolutely nothing out there.
Yeah, and I did not know about this Dental Studios Institute.
Dental Studies Institute.
Dental Studies Institute. Who's the owner of that?
That is Lois. And I would be, Lois will kill me for not being able to come up with her last name, but Lois is awesome. She has, I believe she was a hygienist, but she has 2 or 3 dental-related businesses headquartered in there. They do some staffing for dentists in that region, but the institute itself is a great building. Like I said, multiple classrooms. They've got several different things going on, a lot of video features and the big monitors to see what's going on. And it really is phenomenal what all they do there. And so they've got this dental suite back in the back that needed upgrading. It was very, very old. And we joined with them, and it just looks phenomenal, and it's fully operational. And Dr. Ethan Glickman is the guy who gets the different lecturers in there. He is a dentist. He was really active in one of the state associations up there, real well known, had eye cancer and needed to step away from the chair. And he does this now and just does a phenomenal job. Just the nicest guy in the world. And Lois Hammer is her name. Finally came up with it, and she owns it. And Dr. Glickman is the one who gets these continuing education courses in there. And they're just a phenomenal team to work with. We really enjoy it.
And Lois is a hygienist?
I believe she was. Don't hold me to that.
There's a hygienist in Phoenix that now owns 10 offices. She did not care for working for dentists. And so now she owns 10 offices. Well, I really appreciate you coming down here. I'm always trying to find anybody that can help my dentist practice faster, easier, higher quality, lower cost, in a smaller, more succinct way. I think that's everything you're doing. And I love Texas. 4 out of 5 of my grandchildren live in Beeville, Texas. So,
okay, yes.
So Beeville is ground zero for Grandpa. But thank you so much for coming in. And thank you so much for sharing how my homies can save money doing their dentistry, and just get an extra operatory till at least 2 out of every 3 days you did not use that operatory. And when you tell me you have enough operatories and every single day you're using all the operatories, you don't even know how many times someone called the front desk and they say, no, you can't come down. I don't have a chair. And then your next patient's a cancellation and it's a no-show. Then you're back there whining, your afternoon fell apart. Dude, it's just logistics. If you read The Goal by the Gold Rat, there's you can't read one love story with no math and not get it. So thank you so much.
Remove the constraint. Thank you for being what I consider a shipwright in this industry. That's the guy that builds the boats, because it seems to me from everything I've seen, you're one that believes the rising tide brings all ships. And so it seems to me you're always trying to build a bigger boat for more dentists and the townies. We love talking with them, and we want to do everything we can to help them get that return on their investment. So appreciate you having us on.
All right. Well, it was an honor.